Shifa, welcome you to IIAD.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you here with us, and also look forward for some questions that we have in our mind to ask you, right?
You can surely go
My
ahead.
very first question after reading about you and knowing you is that first take us or talk to us about most talked unit of your personality which has given you a step into London Fashion Week, and from London Fashion Week to British Vogue. So what has been the journey all about?
If I would just make it quick and simple, I would say that as a little one back then, when I just started off my journey, as a very little one, I knew that I have that creative aspect in me, and I really need to look forward to get into it and really motivate myself to get into the fashion industry. Though back then, fashion industry was just growing, and
Which year Which year was that?
That was like 2005.
2005.
Okay. So 2005 was really difficult for us to really convince our parents and tell them, okay, we really are looking forward to get into the designing and fashion segment, because they had the thing that, okay, if you are getting into the fashion industry, what is the role?
Absolutely.
And how are you going to achieve it, and so on. But yes, I guess that just made me realize over the years that yes, I can really get into the creative part and get into the industry. And in the very first year, I would say, in the very first year of my career, when I started off, I had to get into the fashion week, and I launched my collection. I created my collection in 2017. I knew that I had to come somewhere, show my collection, show it globally. And yes, my collection was in the British Vogue.
Fashion design and fashion style, what would be the thin line which would divide the both?
So though I started off as a designer, I always wanted to take an experience into not only the designing segment, but also the various segments that fashion had, be it business, be it styling, be it communication, be it PR, be it everything. I was very intrigued to know as to what the other industry segments are like. And while I was, while I launched my collection at the Fashion Week, I was like, okay, Shifa, over there I could see stylists, and everyone's been working with the brands and industry and celebrity stylists. That was that click that I had. Okay, now I need to get into the styling industry, because a designer, I would say this one thing that my guru, she taught me was that, Shifa, if a designer is not a designer without a stylist. So if you really want to be a designer, you need to know basics of styling, because only then can you become a designer. Or a designer needs a stylist on board to, sort of put his collection out there and launch it and so on, because that's the basics. And then I'm like, okay, I need to know basics of also styling. And that's how that thin line, I had to cross it and come beyond it and learn styling as well.
Okay, my next question goes, how do you seamlessly stitch together your love for Indian aesthetics and finally to the West, whatever the domain that you're working with?
So the West and Indian, obviously coming from an Indian culture, I always had it in me. So couldn't really leave it behind, but also adapt to the Western version. So I feel it's just a blend of both of it. I've always kept, I don't know, there's no thin line in between, because me as an Indian, I've always, had that taste towards Indian aesthetics, Indian clothing, Indian taste. Moving on to the Western culture, I also adapted that very confidently, because coming from an Indian culture, obviously they don't be that open to it. But yes, that thin line, I could only work on it when I really went there and studied with them, adapted the culture, adapted the environment, and then got into it.
Something very interesting, again, cropped up extra, is that from your bridal wear to Western wear, which is more stylist and stylized, I should be saying it. And how did you, one is more is less and when is less is more, how do you sort of balance the two?
between the bridal collection and the Western. I feel couture is something that doesn't need any balance. It's just the silhouettes that speak for itself, right?
Absolutely.
So I never felt that it needed that balance between the Indian bridal collection and the Western collection, because I feel even we do adapt that culture of wearing Western gowns and silhouettes, right? We do adapt that. So I feel that, you know, there's no...
And what's your personal style statement, if I may ask you?
I've kept myself, like, you know, it's a very unique combination of different fashion categories, if I may say. Like, you know, I've always maintained it to be like, keep it more classic, but at the same time a little trendy.
Yeah, trendy is the right word.
Yeah, so but classic is something I never, you know, because I need to make sure that we move with time, as you know, that time actually changes, fashion changes. So we need to maintain the classic element as well to the outfits.
So then, with this USP of yours, how did you put yourself with Yash Raj films and Shah Rukh Khan films? That we are very curious.
Obviously, moving on, when I got into the designing industry, and I said I wanted to always get into the styling, I was always very curious to get into the celebrity styling segment. And when I got that opportunity to get into it, obviously I couldn't miss on it. And yes, that's how one fine day I just woke up and my dad's like, okay, are you you know, still running your label, or are you just going and working with Yash Raj and Salman's and Shah Rukh? And I said, no, I'm going to do both, vice versa. So he's like, are you like completely prepared for it? I said, yes, I am. I am motivated because I also want to experience the styling industry and I don't want to, you know, like really miss on it. So obviously I had to.
What is to design or style these characters, these actors, who are so well known for the old style question that they have?
It's not. See, basically, if I would say so even in styling, so how in fashion we have business, we have communication, even in designing and in styling, there are different segments. Like we have movie styling, we have celebrity styling, which is like celebrity. We have like the commercial ad styling, and so if I would talk about the movie styling part, because we did, so it wasn't like very difficult because they do blend, they have that character to do blend with the character which they're playing online. So obviously that's for sure. So it's not as difficult as it looks, but you know, it's just for the outer world that they feel that it's extremely difficult to, you know, style them or get along with them. But once you sit with them, then it's just, you know.
What is your advice to the fashion business management student, and how do you relate to them?
I completely relate to the business management student, is because, you know, as a designer, in the end, I had to become an entrepreneur, right? And when you do that, you see the different levels and segments of business management that you really require to run a full-fledged business, right? And I would. Today I'm here to just motivate the students to, you know, stick around it. Fashion business management is something, because obviously fashion is one of the biggest industries.
Absolutely.
And we shouldn't forget that fact. And moving on, I would motivate them to keep going, go ahead, get into the field, experience it, and then take a call whether you really want to, you know, go ahead, go beyond it or no. But unless and until you come out of, because I feel theory and reality is extremely different. So the theory part is accomplished because they are here, but then moving forward, they need to really experience the reality as well.
Absolutely. So, well said. Thank you, Shifa. It's been a great talking to you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy your class today with the students.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.